Hi, this is a cat that's come to visit us and show us its face. His name is Bo. Got a beautiful coat. One of the things that I just want to mention is that this war in Afghanistan, is one of those wars that is in actual fact almost never was winnable, because there is no central authority and never has been. You've got to have a reason to attack. Or to take something. People have got to have something to lose. Dropping those bombs on those houses is crazy. I mean, of course, the bombs cost far more than all the houses. But not only that, I mean, those are people who have nothing. So what are you trying to do? And the opium production, of course, is rightly said. Apparently it's gone up. What are we trying to achieve? What have we achieved there? Except opened up a hornet's nest, and now we've got Pakistan a threat, which is a nuclear power. We've got men dying in that situation over there continually, and we just had on November the 5th 5 British men, and they didn't even mention how many injured there were. And then in America, we can assume the British probably had about another 5 or 6 injured in that particular incident, because in America, when that major killed at Fort Hood on the 6th of November, they killed 13 men and 30 were injured, which is about the right proportion of how these things work. So we are looking at here to a very bad situation, which is getting worse all the time. And the other thing is that you've got to take into account is the fact that Israel has got a very narrow sort of time now to have this thing sorted out with Iran and the nuclear proliferation that Iran is now forwarding. So we've got the British Army and the American Army and a lot of Western armies in Afghanistan, with most of those armies in safe areas and not participating in the fighting. The British and Americans are doing all the fighting just about, and that's not wrong, because the Canadians and the others are doing that. You can see that. So I'm not knocking the Canadians, and probably the Australians there, but my point is that we've got to have more help, otherwise there's no point. Holding a strong point is not the way to win a war, while everybody else is going around you. It's like having an island in the middle of a sea. And in South Africa, the general, when he was fighting the Boer War, the British weren't winning, they decided to put up these strong points on top of hills and wire between, and really boxed this whole area off, and it was a huge area to win. It took the British Empire ages to win that war, and they lost a lot of men. I know my grandfather was over there. We won the insurgency war in Asia, in Malaysia, that's the word, Malaysia. But this particular war here, we don't seem to be doing. We know what to do, but we're not doing it, because we haven't got enough men on the ground. You need a lot more men on the ground to do this job. So it's a war that they think they'd like to win, but they won't win, and they know they won't win. But it does sell a lot of bullets. I might sound cynical, but quite frankly, each one of those shells that big gun was firing off, quite expensive. And all those bullets make a lot of money for various people. Are we winning? Are we putting ourselves on the front line? I think we are, and I think that we're shortly going to be dragged into the most terrible war in that area. Biblical reference talks about the war starting on the Euphrates River, which is about right. Which is Euphrates is in the border of Iran and Afghanistan, and it says in the quarter part of the earth, a third of men will die. And that's a lot. And that's just the beginning of that war. Now, why are they called a quarter part of the earth? Well, the Roman Empire towards the end was broken up into 4, and you had the Gauls, and you had the Italian grouping, and then you had the Eastern Middle Eastern grouping, and then you had Africa. So you had these 4 groupings of that empire, and that's why I say a quarter part. And that is an end-time prophecy, as is Daniel. So we are looking at something that's just sliding in, and if people don't want to believe that, that's over to them. But I've been a student of history now for probably about, just thinking here, 54 years, and I've lectured on the subject. I've done television on the subject. I've also been passionately involved in current events, and of course I've also done a lot on apologetics, or biblical prophecy and study. And what we're looking at is a very serious situation that's coming up. This is what's characteristically called the end times. There's going to be a lot of people sneer out there. That doesn't worry me. The reason it doesn't worry me is because I have the empirical evidence. I know the Bible is accurate from a scientific point of view, an archaeological point of view, historical point of view, and I don't have time here to go into it. But if you want to go onto this site we have there, Yahweh News, then you'll be able to see more. Thank you very much for listening.